May I ask a
Yeah,
question,
sure,
follow-up
sure.
from the previous question?
Mhm.
If a priest knows definitively that one of the faithful, one of the congregation, is under mortal sin,
Mhm.
like definitively, maybe the conversation was just right before Mass started or
Yeah.
something, not in confession, but like in a normal conversation, is the priest okay of not giving the person communion?
No. Under most circumstances, no. And the reason is because if it has to do with the right to the person of privacy and to maintain their good name and reputation and things like that. So if I say, for example, I know this guy and I know he's he's having an affair and I know all these details, not like in confession even, just
Right.
I can't, knowing that, just deny him communion if he comes up.
Mm.
Because it's what's called an occult sin, meaning secret, not like playing with Ouija boards or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's a private sin. Now the exception to that is what is contained in Canon 915. I'll bring that up real quick, just so I'll read it the right way. Canon 915: those who have been excommunicated or interdicted, those are penalties. The imposition or declaration of the penalty. So after the imposition declaration, so the penalties have been declared by a competent ecclesiastical authority, and others obstinately persevering in manifest grave sin are not to be admitted to Holy Communion. So these are things that are public, that are obstinate, and that they persevere in this. Those people, that's a different category, because it's not like it's someone's personal sin. It's someone who's living in a public way. Gravely contrary to some teaching of the church. And so to admit them to communion would be causing scandal, which is, people hear that word scandal, they think, old ladies clutching their pearls. No, scandal means something very particular in church law. It means giving someone the impression that something wrong is in fact okay. So it's to avoid that. So that's the exception. If it's a manifest, so that is public, and obstinate, so the person knows that they shouldn't be doing it, but they continue to do it anyway. So obstinately persevering. That's what that would be the one exception.
Very interesting.
But that is a person who, as you said, has already been either excommunicated or been.
Well, so those are two. So in Canon 915 so it's.
Is that or?
Yeah, it's or. So people who have been excommunicated or interdicted, that those are two penalties in the church that are given for various things. But when they've been declared to that person is not to be admitted to Holy, because that's part of the penalty. It's like you're excommunicated. You've been cut off from full communion.
So I think that's where sometimes a lot of our laity and myself included in that is that when we see our government leaders who are promoting a pro-choice agenda, and then they're still receiving communion, they have not been excommunicated. They haven't been.
No, the penalty hasn't been imposed on them. But here's the thing, though, is that that's the other part of the canon, because the penalty, excommunication, is imposed as a result of an ecclesiastical or a canonical process. But it's those, like you use the example of these politicians, they're obstinately persevering in manifest grave sin. So that's either excommunicated people that are interdicted, which are similar penalties, or those who persevere in manifest grave sin.
But when someone had said that, but we don't know whether or not that person went to confession, confessed it, and said that I won't do it again, but still does it because he still she still supports.
And you see, that's the whole public aspect, because what they've done privately is immaterial at that point, because by the example of their life, they're causing scandal. That's why the church doesn't allow them to do that. And so, Cardinal Arinze was asked this question, and he said, he gave some in a very Nigerian way of responding, but it's very funny. And he said, ask a little kid preparing for First Communion what they would think about that. And it's like these should be obvious things, but that's it's the reason. So even if the person has maybe privately confessed, until there's this almost renunciation in a public way, they're still causing a scandal. They're still giving people the impression that what they've done is okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
That's very interesting.